Okay. Interesting. I have something in the... okay. I know it's a very cryptic way to start the show. Let's just say I may have to run to the door during the show. So I'm going to turn my headphones up nice and loud. And I'm going to turn the noise gate off as well. And maybe I'll share something with you later. We'll see. And let me just start the show again. That was a bit of a weird intro. I just got a message come through as I went live. I'm just going to turn off the noise gate so I can hear clearly in the apartment here. Okay, awesome. How are you doing? It's great to be here. It's Monday. Once again, June the 13th. Can you believe it? June the 13th, 2022 already. Crazy, the time is flying. Next week is my birthday week. I'll be accepting cakes and cards, so please send them to Aaron Short Music USA. I'm sure they'll find their way. All right. I'm going to say hello to everyone. If you have a question, please put a Q. I got in trouble a few weeks ago for not putting the Q, for saying that. So I'm definitely going to say, put the Q in there and I'll do the questions later. So I'll go through the chat, say hi, talk about some thoughts I have, and then I'll do the questions later on. If you want me to go into more detail or you want me to put your question to the top of the list, send me a super chat with the question and I'll bump you up to the top. Okay, I think it's fair enough. So, Pasquale, I'm probably saying your name wrong, I apologize. Hi Aaron, some weeks ago I asked you recommendations about a triple O shape for an acoustic guitar. 2 days ago I ended up buying a Martin 0015M and I've fallen in love. Can't put that thing down. I have thoughts on that. I'll just give you my thoughts quickly on that. I'm a fan of medium-sized guitars and dreadnoughts usually, but I also really have a thing for smaller body guitars. I think the OM28 is a great guitar. Now, the thing is, I tried a 0028. I tried the Brook Lidgertwood model that was released, and I didn't like it. I like that it's shorter scale because it's easier to play because it's got less tension on the strings. But I didn't feel that model had much projection. And when compared to my OM guitar, I felt like that was very, not very, but I didn't think it didn't please me as much as the OM. So I didn't buy one of those in the end, right? Having said that, I think it also depends a lot. I've realized this recently. A lot of this stuff depends on what your guitar is made from and other factors. So I would say as a blanket statement that a triple O will be less tension. Obviously that's by the design. They have less tension. Therefore they're easier to play by default. And also the tone is a bit more mellow because the strings aren't as tight. So those factors are true, but there's other factors with guitars as well. So just because I played one triple O and felt like it didn't hold up to my OM, it doesn't mean that I won't play another triple O made of different materials and different bracing and different glues and different bridge pins that will not hold up to that guitar. I've realized that recently because I was recently at Rudy's Music in New York City. I did some comparisons. I wish I took some video there. I might ask them if we can go there some point and do a video there, but that is very true. So be careful of that. I'm just sharing some thoughts today that I've been thinking about over the week, and one of those is that thought that I've realized this week. You can generalize about certain body shapes and styles and manufacturers and woods, but it's really the sum of the parts. It's everything. It's the neck joint, it's the glue, it's the bracing, it's the wood that's used on the bracing, it's the wood that's used on the top, it's the kind of saddle they're using, and then it's that guitar, which is why it's a great thing to go and play that guitar in person, simply because all guitars are different, right? And that brings me on to another point that I'll talk about later on, about hearing guitars on videos. And I'm going to come to that later because I see another question about that coming up. So the main thing for you is I'm really happy that you're happy with your purchase. You say you wanted recommendations, you bought, 2 days ago you end up buying a Martin and you've fallen in love. That's great. If you buy a guitar and you're happy with that guitar, that's the right guitar for you. All right, so that's the most important thing. I like what you say there, I can't put it down. That's the important thing. So congrats. So Laz was supposed to be on the show last week to talk about the NAMM show. I had some guests on last week talking about NAMM. I didn't hear from you, Laz, but you said, sorry I couldn't make it, was driving back to San Francisco Bay Area after deciding to stay an extra night in LA. Okay, well, I won't hold that against you then. I don't blame you for staying there a bit longer at all. The cat, yes, the cat is, if you're wearing headphones, the cat is meowing. West Coast Ray, good to see you, says congrats on the new Authentic. So I've had that for a few months. I deliberately didn't want to review it too soon. I'm very wary lately of like getting a new piece of gear and just having that honeymoon period, or the opposite of that, maybe not thinking I like something and being down on it. I think it's really good if you spend a few weeks or months with a piece of gear and then talk about it, because you've got a lot of thoughts that are more concrete about it. So I've had that for a while. I really love it. And the reason you're probably saying that is because I posted the comparison yesterday. So I filmed that comparison a few months ago. As I sold the HD28 that I sold to pay towards the Authentic, I did compare them back to back because I knew it would be an interesting video. And that brings me on to the second point that I was just talking about. People commenting on that video from yesterday, a lot of people said they liked the bass in the HD28. And I felt like some people were saying they liked the HD28 as much or more than the Authentic. Now, the HD28 isn't a bad guitar, but I just want to put this into this live stream. The HD28 in the room, I do not like as much as the Authentic. And I think this is an important thing to bear in mind when you're watching YouTube. Just because you hear a comparison of two instruments, they may be slightly different distances from the microphone. They may be EQ'd differently. Now, I didn't do that, but I'm just saying there's this thing of in the room. All right. And I've had that like with amps a lot too. You can hear like a Helix or a Kemper, and you can think that's a great tone. Very nice tone. I can imagine that on the recording. It sounds excellent. Sounds like an amp. But in the room, when you're playing it through a certain speaker compared to like a tube amp, for me, it's night and day. And I've found that with acoustic guitars as well. I may play an acoustic guitar in the room here, like when I did that comparison. The articulation and the punch and the clarity of that Authentic just smokes the standard series. And I'm saying that because that's how I really feel. I want to put it out there. Once you put those into a recording and you listen to it on your phone at home, you may think that they're actually very even keeled, and you might think, I prefer the low end or the sound of the standard series. And you know what? You might do, and that's great. But I want to put this perspective in that I didn't get into that video yesterday. I much prefer the Authentic in the room to the standard series. I find the standard series in the room kind of flubby and too scooped sounding and a bit weak. You might say modern sounding. I find the Authentic louder, punchier, focused, less flubby, more boomy. So, not boomy, but less flubby, less boomy. Like, I just prefer that sound. Now, that's not to say that on some recordings I wouldn't prefer the HD, but if I do, what I'm trying to say here is I do feel that the differences are exaggerated in person, and I don't think those things translate on videos. So the point I'm really trying to make is be careful. I know I post comparisons and do matches of amps versus modelers and guitars versus other guitars, and that's fine. It does give you a certain viewpoint. I just think that the YouTube thing kind of evens some things out, and I think that it's good to have a video where the person also says, by the way, there's the sounds for you, but for me in the room, this guitar or this amp or this piece of gear does this for me in person. Of course, that may not do it for you, but I think that's what's missing from some YouTube videos, and I think that's what can be missing from some audio comparisons. You don't get the actual input of the person, and I'm guilty of that because I didn't do that in yesterday's video, and I regretted it because I realized that reading the comments, people were saying, well, the HD, I like the HD, the bass, the low end of that. And I'm sitting there reading that thinking, you know what, in the room there's so many other factors that you're not getting that I felt in the room that has completely converted me to the Authentic thing now. I don't think that other guitars hold up to those guitars. Now, I'm totally rambling here, I apologize, but I'm going to get this on the video. So the Authentics are not for everybody. They're twice the price, generally. They have things like glued-in saddles. You can't use an under-saddle pickup. The necks are usually fatter. Some people don't like that. Sometimes the truss rod is non-adjustable. That's not good for everybody. I get that. So they're not for everyone, but tonally, there's something really incredible about those Authentic. If you get a good one, if you go to the store and play one and you connect with it and you get the right one, I just think they're a real step above like the standard series Martins and other guitars. Because I played other boutique brands as well the other day, and some of those guitars are made really well. Some of them do sound excellent, to be fair, but some of them just don't have that kind of punch and clarity that the Authentics have. So I want to put that in today's video. I may have to go and get the cat in here at some point, but I think some of you are okay with that. They're fine. Their box is clean. They've been fed. They're very needy lately. I think as cats get older, they get needier. Is that right? A friend of mine are preparing some acoustic songs to perform live at a pub, and we're running out of ideas. Something entertaining about what might be. She's an amazing singer. If you want me to answer that, put it again with a cue, please. Otherwise, if I keep going from one question to another without the cue, then I'm going to upset some people. So put that as a question if you want me to answer it today. Put that, West Coast Ray, put that as a question, please. I know, so I'm not being a jerk. I got in trouble when I didn't do the cue thing the other week, so I'm going to stick to that. If you want me to go into detail with a question, put a cue there or send a super chat, okay? Otherwise, I'm just going to say hi to people. David's here. How you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Lisa's here. Hi, Lisa. Good to see you. Jim says, hi, Aaron and friends. It's a drop-dead gorgeous day in Vermont. 75 degrees. Come for a visit. Well, I mean, let me check the weather here. It's not exactly cold here either. I had the AC running for a few hours before I went live. Let me see. It's 84 here. So I beat you, don't I? Is that better or worse? I don't know. 84 where I am. So maybe I will come there to see you, just to cool off. Okay. So Lisa says, Jim, 68 degrees, not a cloud in the sky in San Francisco Bay Area. Very nice. And Jim says, the wife is learning Between the Dirt and the Stars by Mary Chapin Carpenter. It's a great song and the wife sounds good. Oh, that's good. Are you in a duo then? You play together like that? 57 and cloudy where David is. Sorry, David. Sorry to hear that, buddy. Oh, I got a super chat. I got a super chat from Staley. Thank you, my friend. So you get one of these. And I bring it up on the screen. Oh, see, there I was thinking I'd have a really important question to answer about acoustic guitars or acoustic guitar pickups. But no, it's a hippo character with stars glowing in his eyes, pumping his arms in the air with the word hype pulsating above him. So, yeah, feel free to ask a question if you, I mean, not that I don't want you to send me a super chat to help me, pay for the internet and stuff. That's great. But feel free to send me a question. If you send me a super chat, I'll go into a lot of detail for you. But thank you, my friend. I appreciate it. Thanks for your support. He says it's 62, windy and chilly in Tacoma. Still waiting on summer-like weather to show up. July 5th is the real expected date. Patsy Smith. Hi, everyone. It's good weather here in the UK, but the gardens need some rain. I don't want no rain. The problem with the rain is in the summer when you do outside gigs. How many people here play outside? Because playing outside you think would be fun. I know some people here don't play shows, and some people here don't play music at all, so my family and friends. But playing outside in the summer can be really good and be really stressful too. If you've got all your equipment outside and it rains, there's something to think about when you book a gig. I was just talking to a client yesterday, and I said, please, 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 I don't want to be negative, but please have a backup plan in case it rains. Even though your gig is in August, if it rains, I do need cover for the equipment. And also, if it's going to be really sunny, I need to have cover from the sun, because I don't want to be playing for 4 hours in the sun. I don't want to be playing for 4 hours in the rain. And you can say, well, you can use the Rain Song guitar. Yeah, you can, but the Rain Song guitar still has electronics. I still have my Play Acoustic on the ground. I still have my PA system. I still have all this stuff, right? So it's just something to think about. Because I know in the early days when I started gigging, I didn't ask for those things. And it can get pretty hairy if you don't. There was a band gig a few years ago when we were playing and the rain had stopped. But then it started just as we were setting up, and it just went everywhere, and everything just got drenched like really quick, like a flash flood, you know? And I ended up just using one PA speaker on a pole, so it was off the ground. The little fly rig I use as a backup, which I don't love, but it's a good backup, and a TC Helicon to Play Acoustic to process the vocals straight into the one PA speaker. That was it. And then the drums and then the bass player going straight into a speaker. I just didn't want to have a mixer or I think I was using the Helix at the time. I didn't want those things on the ground because you've got to make a lot of money to make it worthwhile breaking expensive equipment, right? So these days I try to take things to put down on the ground in case it's wet on the ground. Sometimes it doesn't rain at a gig, but the ground is wet from the night before. And that can make your bags dirty and your pedals get wet and ruined. So yeah, it's fun playing outside, but there's more challenges with that. Let alone the sound, of course, when you've got the sound outside. Because inside a room, the sound bounces around. But when you're outside, the sound just goes whoosh out the front, right? It doesn't bounce off anything. So that presents its own kind of challenges. Unboxing. I don't want to do those anymore, David. I thought they'd be fun. Remember I have got a package coming. I might have to run to the door in a second. But the thing about live unboxing is I thought they'd be really exciting on the channel. But the few that I've done, I think I just get stressed. And I think there's this like, I put this expectation on myself. I remember that with the Harley Bentons, like I was impressed with them, but then I found issues a few days later. I'm still going to make that video, by the way. I've still got those guitars. I'm still going to make that video, but I felt like that representation of that unboxing wasn't real because I then found issues later on that are not in that video. So that's why I prefer now just to get something, use it for a few weeks, and then talk about it, because then I can be really clear about it. When you just get something, there's always that honeymoon period that can be very dangerous. Or you might have a problem that needs to be fixed that it makes you not like something. And once it's fixed by, say, a guitar repair person, that might then make you love it. So I'm not really sure about live unboxings anymore. I feel they have the potential to be really exciting and really cool. But I also don't want to give the wrong impression or the wrong information either. I remember when I unboxed the Harley Bentons and I said, oh, they sound amazing. And they've got the tape over the pickups. And the real Ting said, yeah, well, that doesn't make any difference. I just felt like a fool at that point. Hey, not that I mind that. I'm fine with that. But I don't want to ever be like, this thing's amazing, go and buy one. And a week later, I've changed my mind. Because that does happen with me. I think it happens with a lot of people that are into stuff and gear. You know, we get caught up in that initial thing. And I never want to say, you need to go and buy this right now. And a week later, change my mind. That may happen occasionally, but if I give myself a few weeks to gig something and use something in the field, then I can really tell you if you should buy it or not. I think that's a lot more valuable to people. And I feel better about that too. You know, like I bought this, I've used it for 3 months, I've earned money with it at shows, you should check it out. Rather than someone sent me this thing and, oh, it's really great, go buy one. And then a week later, no, I don't really like it anymore. I think that's not a good kind of, not a good thing, is it? Rosanna, how you doing? Good to see you here. Happy Monday to you too. Chazza, it's been a while. How you doing? Good to see you. Jim said a Q, not a question mark. What did I put on the message? I'm trying to do things properly around here. I even pinned it at the top. Oh, I didn't. I pinned the wrong message. Oh, excuse me. Let me see here. I pinned Get Your Soundhole Sniffer t-shirt. I meant to put a Q. Here we go. I'll pin that one instead. By the way, just so you know, I would love to have the cats in here. I'd love to be live with the cat here. But what happens with the cats is they chew all of the cables. And I like Megami cables that are like $80 each. And some of my Megami cables have cat teeth marks in them. And it's not not my favorite thing. So I wish the cats could be, or at least one of the cats could be in here right now. I think it'd make the stream more fun. But unfortunately, they would not just sit on my lap and have a good time with us. They would be destroying expensive cables. So that's the reason why they're meowing outside. Where's the green screen? So the green screen's there. I know, I just like to mix it up. It's still up. It's great. It's hanging now. So rather than a pole, anyone that's interested, what I'm using is, for the green screen, is I'm using a green like curtain. And I had it on a tension rod, but over time that tension rod would get loose, and as I pulled the curtain across, it would fall down, and it fell down and hit this table behind me. And sometimes, well, there was one time it almost hit a guitar. So I was like, no, I can't do this anymore. I can't have this anymore. So what I've got now is 2 metal hooks in the wall. So they're drilled in, they're screwed in. And then a piece of cord with those special clips where you attach the cord and it locks in. And so even if they fall down, they shouldn't do too much damage, but I don't think they will. And then the curtain is on that string, and I just pull it across when I want it. So I thought I'd just mix things up today and not use it. That was the first question, I guess, right? It's a worship guitar. I missed something? I think I missed what you said about. I'm not sure what you mean, Staley. A worship guitar. But I would have tried it out. Are you talking about the Brooke Lidgettwood? I don't know why people call that a worship guitar. Yes, she's a worship artist, but does that make it a worship guitar? It's really just a custom shop 0028, which is spec'd very well for the price and looks very nice. But I hate to sound like a broken record. Those guitars just don't sound like the Authentics. I'm clearly on an authentic high these days. That's how I feel, so I'm going to say it. Oh, the 0015 is long scale. Let's take a look at it. Let's pull it up. I'll pull this up on the screen. We'll take a look. Aaron starts his podcast. Next thing you know, Martin Guitars has sent me an email. Coincidence? Oh no, Staley. I just text my contact at Martin and asked them to send you that email. I know you're looking right now. I've been through your inbox. I'm just kidding. I just received one too. What? You received what? Strings? Oh, strings. I'm so behind here. All right, there's a question coming up. Let me just look at this guitar with you, because I'm not exactly sure which one you mean. 0015. Let's just check the model here. Okay, 0015M. So the M, if you don't know, is for mahogany. 000 is the scale length, but we're saying that's long scale. Ah, yes, I know this model. Now, do you mean the Street Master? Isn't that the new one they just released? The Street Master, $14.99? Or do you mean the non-Street Master? Let's take a look at both of them. Oh, they got some in stock. My goodness, Martin Guitars in stock? Are you kidding me? You gotta be kidding me, they're in stock right now? Let me show you the screen here. Okay, so they got 4 at Sweetwater right now. Okay, let's check this out. Incredibly light, right? 3 pounds, 12 ounces. And I'm going to say it again, I think the pictures are really important these days. And the reason that I think that is because we are now getting the Street Ebony. And I know I've asked you about the Street Ebony on the stream, and you told me you were okay with it. And actually a lot of people in the Martin Facebook groups are okay with it too. For me, if I was going to buy one of these today, I would want to see the photos. That's the thing. Some of the Street Ebony necks look a bit too much to me. That's just my preference. It's weird actually. I don't mind it on the Loudon Ed Sheerans. I don't mind it on the Taylors. I don't mind it anymore on the Fender Acoustic Sonic. But on a Martin, I'm so used to that. I think they were dyeing the fretboards, right? Now, if you look at this one doesn't look Street at all, which is interesting, isn't it? Maybe this is an older guitar, because there's an HD28 on here right now with a lot of streaking in it, and that's not really my thing. But this one looks nice. This one is very, what's the word, uniform. This guitar looks excellent, and the price is also excellent. Let's look at the other ones though, because the cool thing on here is you can look at all of them, and there's like multiple photos and things. So, yeah, that looks pure. I'm trying not to say the wrong. Well, I don't know what the right word is to say. It looks like, I don't know. I don't understand. I never understood, like with Taylor, why they're like 400 series uses. Well, no, what is it? I think the 800 series uses street, and that's the 800. And then the 300 often doesn't use street, and that's a lower, like a lower range guitar. I never understood that stuff. Here you go, look. So this one, that's what I mean by street ebony. That's kind of subtle. I can show you the HD28 on here where it's really obvious. In fact, I will show it to you just in case you wonder what I'm talking about here. But yeah, I mean, they look great, don't they? The price is good. Let me see what the spec is here. It's the simple dovetail. I've said before I like the full dovetail, and I do, but you won't get that for this price. It's all mahogany. Some people love all mahogany guitars. They have a certain sound to them, you know, warm sound. 1/11/16 nut there. Some people, I know a lot of Martin fans do not like that. I really can't tell much of a difference. Some people are very obsessed with having the 1 3/4 inch. I think it's just what you get used to. I don't think that's a huge thing to get used to. But yeah, I mean, Grover tuners. This has got to be one of the best deals from Martin right now, right? And can someone tell me where these are made? Are these made in Nazareth? I think they are. But yeah, well, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But very, very cool for the money. Look at that. I love these photographs. So, yeah. Now, let's just check out the other one, which I believe will be this one, right? The Street Master. Yes. So these are on order. Okay, so tell me in the chat, what do you think about the Street Masters? What do you think of this look? I know some people love it. It's a bit like the Relic guitars. Some people love them, like me. Now, well, I didn't used to, now I do. And some people don't like them at all. And I feel like it's that with the Street Master. The Street Master definitely has that worn-in look, even though it's not actually Relic. The finish and the pattern on it, that definitely gives it that aged look, doesn't it? So what do you think of that? And again, you pay more money for that one. That's $14.99. And the spec on this one is, it's plecked, which is very good. If you scroll down, you get all the specs here. Here we go. So mahogany again. Why was I thinking that these ones are Addy topped? Oh, that's another model, I think, from NAMM. That's 2000, right? Okay, so you can get that. That's just a different finish on these. So I'm not sure which one you got. I'm not able to read the chat at the same time as looking here. But basically, you've got the natural one here, which is currently in stock. And then you've got the Street Master version as well. And this one, if you like the more kind of less distressed look, is much, you know, $150 cheaper, isn't it? So I'm not sure if there's any other differences apart from that, but yeah, it's a good deal. It's a good deal. So strings. Okay, question. 00015M. So that guitar is in fact this one that you bought. Am I right about that? If so, congrats. Are you gonna? My first question to you is. Oh, let me bring myself up because I'm kind of hiding behind your comment. The first thing I ask you is, are you going to add a pickup to this guitar? And if so, which one? I'd like to know. I'm curious. So what strings are better? I can't decide between Elixir, Phosphor Bronze, and Martin Retro's Phosphor Bronze. What gauge? I'm used to 1152. So the answer to this is, how long is a piece of string? Yeah, that was a bad joke, right? So what I would do, if you want my advice on this, what I would do is I'd go to the website, and the first thing I would do is I think, right, it's a smaller body guitar. So usually on those we use 12s, right? Or 11s if you want to do soloing. My first thought is what ships on the guitar. It doesn't really matter, but I always like to be aware of these things. What do they ship on this guitar? It usually tells you here in the info. So I'm going to guess that they're Martin Lifespan 12s. Of course, I don't see it on there unless I'm missing it. I'm sure it tells you on the Martin website as well. But yeah, let's say that they're Martin Lifespan 12s. I'm sure they are, because on all the small body guitars, that's what they ship them with, and all the Dreadnoughts ship with 13s, unless they have a pickup, then they usually ship with 12s. And the SC13E, by the way, I played an SC13E at Rudy's Music, and I really liked it. I was really impressed with it. They ship with 11s at the moment. So let's say this ships with 12s, right? I would probably keep it with 12. There's a few things I would do. The first thing I would do is be like, what's the action like? What's the setup like on the guitar? Does it play well? And then how am I going to play it? Am I mostly going to strum? Do I strum with a heavy hand? If I do, when the action's slightly on the high side, I may leave it like that, because if I lower it, it may start to buzz. If you play very lightly and don't have a heavy hand and it's a bit on the high side, I might bring that saddle down, check if the neck is straight, and do that with the 12s and see if I can get the 12s working, because I usually like 12s on a guitar of this size. Now, if you do a lot of soloing, this is all about how you play. If you do a lot of soloing on a guitar and you do a lot of bending on a guitar, especially acoustic guitar, you might want to go to 11s. Okay, then you want to put those on and check the action again, check the setup. But I'm going to assume you probably want to go with 12s. And I find lately that a lot of Martins that are plecked arrive pretty much good. Sometimes the neck will bow slightly and I want to tighten it a little bit. And that doesn't adjust the action, but it does, in a way, it does affect it in a way. Because if you've got a big bow in the neck and you straighten it out, it does make the guitar feel easier to play, right? So that's not how you technically adjust the action. I'll get in trouble if I say that. But it does have a kind of effect on the action. So that's what I would do. And I'd probably try to stick with what's on there. I mean, I feel like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I actually really honestly like the Martin strings. There was a few years when I didn't like them, and they've changed them since then. I really like the Martin strings on the Martin guitars. In fact, on most acoustic guitars. So I would probably do that. I would play the guitar as is. And I'd think, how does this feel? How does this sound as it is? First thing I would think about is, do I get tired playing it, especially over a long period of time? Because my gigs are 3 to 4 hours. So if I feel like after a couple of hours it's getting hard to play, then I would think, right, I'm going to lower the saddle, make sure the neck is straight, it's not too back bowed, okay? Or, yeah, no, I said the wrong thing. Make sure there's not too much relief in the neck, I'll say it that way. And make sure the saddle isn't too high. Because, you know, although most Martins now and acoustic guitars ship with a really good playability, some guitars are still slightly on the high side because they know that it's easier to lower the action than to raise it, okay? So that's the first thing I do. And then if I like the feel and the sound, I would just use those strings again. And you need to try them as well, because some people react differently to different strings. Like some people use a certain brand of strings and they corrode instantly. And some people use certain strings and they don't corrode at all. So I wouldn't change anything. With the elixirs, I personally feel they last longer, but I don't like how they feel, and I think they add extra tension that makes the guitar harder to play. So I use those on certain, on my rain song if I'm going to play it once a month. But if I'm playing the guitar all the time, I usually use the Martin Lifespan strings. I did just put a set of the Diodario on my Cole Clark guitar, and I've really enjoyed those actually. They've been really good too. So they're the brands that I would use, but I don't really obsess about it too much. I really just go with what it needs. The reason I used the Diodario on the Cole Clark is that the low E was buzzing, and the gauge of the low E on those is what shipped with the guitar originally, and that's why I put them on. As a side effect, I realized I do like those strings, but I also like the Martin strings as well. So if I was you, I would just take note of those things. How does it feel to play now? How does it sound to you now? Is there anything that's bugging you? And then ask the question of, should I change something about the guitar? I guess I'm trying to say, don't change things just for the sake of it. Don't go down a rabbit hole just for the sake of it, because then it can get very time consuming. Let me know if you want any more info on that, because that's kind of not a vague answer, but a lot of this stuff is reliant on you as a player. So, just so you know, like I'm 6'5", and I play really hard. So although I love a low action, because there's certain times when I do play light, because I don't, it just depends on my mood. I would never set an acoustic up really low, because I know it will buzz then on those nights where I lay into it. So I try and get it just right, so it's not too low, not too high, but that's really difficult as well, because getting that exact sweet spot is a real challenge sometimes. That's why some people tend to set the guitars up on the high side, and then some people that play a lot of electric guitar will set them up on the low side and put up with the buzz, because they want that ability to shred on the guitar. Yeah, and you mentioned the retros. I tried them. I didn't mind them. But I haven't had an all mahogany guitar like this, so that might be a good fit. And I'm not sure what comes on this guitar. Let me take a look. Let me answer this question properly. I'll jump over to the Martin website. I usually play Rosewood and Sitka or Rosewood and Addy guitars. So they usually ship with the Martin Lifespan SP12s. Authentic acoustic. Yeah, here we go. So I was right. Look, check this out. So it comes with these strings. I did try the retros once on the OM John Mayer that I had last year, and they impressed me more than I thought they would, but ultimately I went back to these. I just like the feel and the sound of these, and I use the Phosphor. This is exactly what I use. Authentic Acoustic Lifespan Phosphor Bronze 540T. And by the way, you can buy a big box of those. I've just realized as well. I don't know how often you change strings, right? I change strings a lot. And I'm always trying to save money on things like that. So I think it's either from Sweetwater or from Strings and Beyond. I actually got like a big pack of them. Yeah, you can buy a box set like this. Look at that, $224 for strings, but you get 25 sets. You help the environment by using less packaging, and you save money buying them this way as well. Okay, but just so you know, actually, if you go to Strings and Beyond, this is all USA based, I apologize. Strings and Beyond are a very good site if you're in the USA. And I recently purchased this. I think there may have been a sale. Sometimes they have sales on this site as well. Let's see, Martin Volk. Let's see if they still have them. Perhaps they don't anymore. Martin Lifespan. Let me just see. Space price. You know what? They're not there anymore. I bought just like a big bundle of like 25 with no packaging. It was really cheap, but they're not there now. I don't know why that is. So I won't tell you about those because they're not available anymore. But yeah. Hey, look, this is just all personal opinion. I wish I could tell you this is the best. This is what you need for that guitar. But you do have to experiment. The great thing with picks and strings is it's a very affordable experiment. But I've found over the years that what comes with the guitar with the Martins is what I normally prefer. Not so with other brands, like with the Rain Songs and the Taylors that I've tried and the Maitons that I've tried. They'll often come with the Elixir. I don't hate Elixir, but I don't want to use them at gigs day to day. I don't like the feel of them as much as the other brands. Again, that's just my opinion. Jim says, I thought the bass was stronger in the 37. Well, I think what they meant, Jim, I agree, it's punchier. In that kind of respect. I think what people meant was it was more booming, but I don't actually like that. I like the tightness of the Adirondack and that authentic guitar. I like the punch, the clarity, the tightness, and the volume. The standard series seems to have a bit more flub to it, and it's like a thinner sound. So that's what I heard, at least in the room. Yeah, they both have scallop braces. Lee is listening. Good to see you here, Lee. Have I had the chance to play? Oh, there's no. I need the cue. I need the cue. Sorry. I know I sound like a jerk. I'm not being a jerk. I'm just, if I answer a question without the cue and I've told everyone to put a cue and put you ahead of them, they're going to get mad at me. So I'm just trying to be fair. But just type it again if you're still here. I like the D28 and 35 over the HD because the bass is tighter and mids are stronger. So what I felt about that was I felt that looking back now, again, this is why it's good to do these reviews long term. Looking back, a D28 to me is too focused sounding. There's not enough boom and bloom, right? It's too narrow sounding, too mid-range heavy. The HD28 is too scooped. It's the opposite. What's amazing about those Authentics is for me, they're perfect. They're right down the middle. They've got the punch and clarity of a D with the non-scallop braces, and they've got the air and the scoop sound of the HD with the scallop braces because they have scallop braces. That's what I've come to realize. There's something really amazing. I know I'm pushing these Authentics, but I really feel this way. There's something really special about the Authentic sound on some of those. Again, I'm not saying go out and buy one now, they'll all sound like mine, but if you find a good one, and if you played mine, I honestly believe that, I said this earlier, I really believe they're a step above. I really believe they are the sound. Looking back over the years when I was buying Martins and trying Martins, I think the sound that I was looking for was that. And if there's anyone out there new, I actually told a guy this at Rudy's last week when I was there. He was asking my advice on guitars, and I said to him, let me just give you this advice. Here is an Authentic that I'm playing at Rudy's. I said to him, I don't know anything about you, but if you're here and you're shopping for your first guitar and you're looking in Rudy's at things like Martins and Taylors, I said, this guitar, this Authentic that I was playing at the time is incredible. And he agreed with me. I said, right. I said, well, you just showed me like a low-end Martin, like one of those thin, I don't like those thin dread Martins, and a Taylor, which was okay. It wasn't great, that one he was showing me. And I said, you know what? I can see that you're a serious buyer here, and I can see you're looking for a guitar, and I don't know what you're looking to spend. I don't know anything about your situation, but here's my advice from the things I've learned over the years. Looking back on my life, I could have, for the money and time that I wasted, I mean, wasted is a very negative word, but I'm trying to be very direct here. For the time and money that I've spent on guitars over the years, I could have been very close to getting, especially back then, for the prices back then, I could have been very close to getting a real vintage Martin. And that makes me a bit sick to think that. Now, I didn't know that at the time. I had to go through this stuff. But the reason I have the channel is to help people, right? And I'm not saying that you should go, if you're new to guitar, you should go out and buy a vintage Martin now, because they're more expensive now. And if it is the wrong choice, or if there's a problem with it, it could be a huge financial burden. And I don't want anyone to lose their home because they bought a vintage Martin. I'm just saying, looking back, the right decision, and hindsight is a wonderful thing, right? But looking back, in hindsight, I should have not bought any Standard Martins because I was just never that. I had some really good ones, but I was never really truly blown away looking back. I should have gone to somewhere like Nashville. I'm just checking this delivery, sorry. Looking back, I should have gone to somewhere like Nashville and bought 1940, 35, whatever, vintage Martin. But of course, I couldn't have done. I didn't have that money then. I'm looking back over 10 years, 15 years saying, oh, if I hadn't done that, hadn't taken any cabs, hadn't bought any dinners, I could have bought that. So that's not really real, is it? But what I was trying to say to him is an Authentic Martin series is twice the price. So did you know, actually, a little tip for you watching right now, you probably know this already, but Martin are raising their prices on July the 1st. Not on every model, but the standard series. So for example, right now an OM28 is $3,200. On July the 1st, they're going to be $3,400. And just think about this. An Authentic is around 6.5, 7 maybe maximum, depending if you get the aged or not. I think they're twice as good. So I was just basically telling him, like, you're sitting here saying you love to say this. He was saying it's the best sounding guitar you've ever heard, right? So I was like, if you have the means to get it, then get it, and just don't buy another guitar again. And again, that's a silly thing to say because, of course, we will buy a guitar and start looking at another one the next day. But my point to him was, that's just something I really feel very strongly about that now. Like, if you love that guitar, don't buy the $2,000 guitar that you think is good. Wait a bit longer and try to get a payment plan and get that one and be done with it. So again, I know it's not that cut and dry, that simple for everybody. I know, but maybe it wasn't even an option for him. My point was, if he had the ability to do that, I think that's a great thing, especially because he said to me that was the best sounding guitar he'd ever heard, all right? Just got the FGX3, cool. I actually sold I've been selling loads of guitars because I had to. I've sold loads of gear the last few months because I just got, over the lockdown, I got out of control and, blah, 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 blah. But I sold my FGX5 and it was great because I got my money back for it because they're so hard to find. Well, they were so hard to find when I sold it. The mic is muddy. The reason that's muddy is because it's not doing the high end, it's doing the mid. It's more of like a mid, an atmosphere. That's why it's called atmosphere. The mic is doing that. So try turn the mic off completely on that one. I might bring a cat in later, Rosanna, just for you. I'll see. I don't own the Authentic, but have played older Martins that are similar to that sound. I own the HD28 and wouldn't describe the bass as fluffy, but that was going to be too. Yeah, well, it's also, when you compare stuff, you've got to understand that as well. If you only have in the room an HD28, and you have nothing else to compare it to, and it can be very dangerous when you compare guitars, because if you compare two guitars back to back, it's very easy to see the negative in both of them against the other one. But that's completely unrealistic because you're never going to do that at a gig, are you? You're going to just play the guitar. So the best thing really is to buy a guitar and own a guitar where when you hit that chord, it just rings out and you love it. Like this Rain song. When I play that, it makes me very happy. It's an excellent guitar. But if I compare it to something else, of course, I'll start to say, well, the treble's not the same, the bass isn't the same, blah. So there's a saying that comparison. What's the saying? Comparison is the thief of joy. Comparison is the thief of joy, because when you compare things, you see the bad in yours and the good in theirs, and vice versa. And that's really true with gear as well. Very, very true. Okay, question. Sometimes when I'm tuning up my Martin, the tuners make a squeaky sound. What might it be? Do you think after a while they should be changed or fixed in some way? Okay. There's a few things about tuners, First of all, there was a short time when Martin were using a different brand of tuner on the standard series. I'm trying to think what they were called now. But they often had a problem. They were often very sticky and stiff. And a couple of years ago, they changed to another brand and they were perfect. And I thought, great, it's so good that they've changed to this new brand now. But then I got a couple of guitars that I played that were sticky again. I was like, oh. So I think what it is you have to be fair to companies like Martin. They're making so many guitars. If you think about it, if they approach, say I make tuners and they say, right, Aaron, we need 1 million tuners. Okay, great, I'll take that gig, right? That's a great gig for my company. So what you have is you have your first load of tuners that are made very slowly and accurately and excellent. Again, it's just my opinion, just my thoughts on this, okay? I'm not saying this is a fact. But you have the tuners in stock, but then Martin starts saying, we need more. So you start cranking them out faster. Maybe the quality goes down. And the only reason I'm saying that is because I did play a couple of guitars with the latest tuners. The early ones were Grand Tunes, now they're Waverly or Grover. But the ones that they're using currently, I have had some that were bad. So if you're watching and you get a guitar with bad tuners, what you want to do is just contact Martin. What I did is I sent them a video to show how scratchy and hard they were to use. And then initially they said to me, well, are you sure? Like, we don't know if that's, and they said, can you take it to a tech or an authorized center? And I was thinking like, well, not really, because, you know, it's kind of a hassle. So I got my phone out and I shot a video showing exactly what the issue was. And they straight away sent me a new set of tuners. And tuners on the Martin are very easy to change. You just take the screws out, put the new ones in. They just drop in, right? So that's really cool. Thank you for the super chat, Bernard Smith. So that's the first thing. If you find that your tuners on your guitar are stiff or scratchy, they are defective most likely. And I would take a video, send it to the company and say, I think these are defective. Can you please send me a new set? But don't say Aaron Shaw told you to do that, because otherwise I get in trouble with everyone even more than I already am. But that's the first thing. If the sound you're talking about is that pinging sound, that's actually the nut, and that happens a lot. So as you tune the string, what happens is it gets bound up in the nut slot, and then it slips through, and you get that ting, that ting sound, right? So the way to fix that is either to take the string and pull it back and forth through there a few times to make that slot slightly wider, just so it doesn't catch anymore. You can also use some lubrication, which I've tried before. I don't think that's really the answer. Or you can take it to a guitar tech and they can actually file the nut for you. People always tell me to do it myself. The only reason I'm not telling you to do it yourself is because if you mess it up, it'll be my fault. So go to a guitar tech that you trust, not one that you don't trust, by the way, because I've had lots of bad experiences with those too. Go to one that you trust and have them go through the nut and make sure they're all cut correctly. And the other reason that's really important is not only do you get that annoying ping noise as you tune up the string, that means the string is slipping, and that could slip while you're playing a song. And what happens is, if that does slip while you're playing a song, the guitar goes out of tune. And that's even more important on electric guitar, because when you use the whammy bar on a Strat, if that string is binding, they call it binding, if it's getting stuck in the nut, then if you think about it, as you pull the strings up, pull the bar up or down, if that string gets caught in the nut slot, then it won't go back to where it was, and then your whole guitar sounds terrible and really out of tune. So having the nut correct is really important, and unfortunately with some guitars that are shipped, that's overlooked. Because, you know, guitars, especially now, guitars are made, I'm not going to say made quickly, but they've got to get orders out, right? So they put the strings on, they check it, is it okay? Yeah, good, out the door. So there's been more, I've played more guitars than not that have that binding, and I have to get them corrected. So I'm not sure which one it is, but I think it's one of those two things. Tyler, you got to put a Q there, my friend. You got to put a Q. I get in trouble. But yes, I do still have it. And there's another Noel Gallagher coming out in a couple of months, and I want it, but it's really expensive. I really shouldn't buy it. That's a discussion for another day about should we buy collectible guitars that are just insane prices. Because the problem is, one way that I can justify a collector's guitar is that the value will go up, and I think that's often true. But when they start a new collector's guitar at crazy high prices, are you ever going to really get your money back for it? That's a whole new question. Although generally guitar prices have gone up a lot lately, haven't they? I'm still thinking about that. I've got until August to decide that. Yep, Lisa says about the heat and the sun. Yep. Yep, that's I was talking about that an hour ago, wasn't I? Playing outside. I get so behind the chat, and I have to remember what I was talking about before. But yeah, be careful, and be careful with your guitar too, because your guitar can heat up and go out of tune, and you get sweaty and sweat on the guitar. Quick story about playing outside. A friend of mine that I won't name by name bought a new Gibson and was playing outside and put a lot of bug spray on because there was bugs everywhere. That's the other problem with playing outside. So can you guess what happened when he put bug spray and cream all over his body and then played his guitar? Can you guess what happened to the guitar's finish? Let me know in the chat. I'll tell if you're right. Okay, here we go. So, question. Have you had the chance to play the Martin Custom Authentic Aged E28 with the East Indian Rosewood? If so, what's your opinion? Yeah, I just played one at Rudy's. So with the Authentics, you have the one that I have, which is Madagascar. It's like last year's model. So you've got the Madagascar Rosewood, which looks really great. You've got a non-adjustable truss rod, which scares a lot of people. Used to scare me. It doesn't scare me anymore, but I just keep that guitar in a case with a humidifier. I'm very careful with it. I kind of like the fact it's not adjustable, because did you know that Martin didn't use adjustable truss rods until 1985? So that's quite a new thing to have an adjustable truss rod. And if you've got a fat neck on the guitar and it's all set up correctly from the factory, which those usually are because they're made in the custom shop, then you shouldn't really have a problem. You shouldn't have to touch the truss rod unless, and if you're someone that does tweak your truss rod all the time and you want to gig this guitar in different climates and weathers, then get one with a truss rod. It's quite simple. And that's why Martin started to choose certain dealers to do these custom Authentic guitars. And now I get it. What they are is like slightly more modern versions of the Authentics. And the store can decide what they have. So what West Coast Ray is talking about is you can get a D20 Authentic like mine, but it has East Indian rosewood back and sides, not the Madagascar. And what that does is it brings down the price, first of all. They also have an adjustable truss rod, which some people, like I just said, if you're going to be gigging the guitar, taking it everywhere you go, and just for peace of mind, some people like to have an adjustable truss rod. I get it. And then they also can be ordered without the BTS, without the aging, with the BTS. And when you take these options away, what you get from those dealers is a cheaper price. So the guitars are cheaper because the actual Authentics are right up there price-wise. And they're also a little bit more customizable, but still very true to the Authentic thing. They're not like a modern deluxe. The modern deluxe guitars, for me, are a bit too modern. So they're a nice sweet spot for a lot of people. And they have these. They had one of these at Rudy's in Soho, and I played it, and it was excellent. It actually reminded me of mine. The guy there was saying, Zeke, his name is. He's cool. He's a nice guy. He was saying that the Rosewood he prefers to the Madagascar, and it's lighter. I don't know if I agree with that. I found the weight about the same as mine, although obviously I wasn't comparing them back to back. It sounded amazing, but mine does too. So the reason I bought my Authentic when I did is A, because Jeremy told me it was a great one, and I trust his opinion. And B, because I knew the Madagascar was going away, and I just wanted to have that. I think the Madagascar looks really nice, and now you can't get it anymore. So that's why I got mine. But I wouldn't be against buying one with the Rosewood. I think Rosewood and Addy is an excellent combination. And I think having the truss rod wouldn't be a bad thing. Adjustable, I should say. Mine has a truss rod, but it's not adjustable. So I think, Ray, if you're looking at one of those, I think you should go for it. I think it'd be an excellent choice. And the one at Rudy's Music in Soho is excellent. So check that out if you want to. I also think, I'm not sure if that's BTS or not. A couple of the Authentics there are not BTS. In the past, I've not really enjoyed the BTS guitars that I played, but then again, I like the BTS on my Authentic. Like I said earlier, it's more of a sum of its parts than just one thing with a guitar. But yeah, they're excellent. And now there's a new Authentic, which is even more authentic with a slightly squarer body, like they've pushed the top down, and they have the Guatemalan rosewood. I spoke about that last week. Kind of annoyed me that there's an Authentic that's more authentic than my Authentic, but I'm just kidding. I don't really care. They sound excellent. Staley said, wish I could hear you all play. Well, I do. I haven't been live lately. I've been gigging, but I do have lots of past concerts and performances on my channel, Staley, and there'll be more coming up soon. I just can't commit to doing every single week right now. You also have a Mac just in case. You mean a coat? In case it rains? That's not enough though. I'm so scared of my equipment. Because you think about it, let's be real for a second. Even if even if you do a big high profile wedding, and even if they give you $1,000, right? Which I'm not saying I do get $1,000 a gig, I wish I did, but let's say I was. When you think about your equipment, the PA, the bags, the cables, your guitar case, your capo, your tuner, your pedal board, your microphone. All it takes is for one strike of lightning or flood and all that is gone. And do you have insurance for your gear? I don't really have insurance for my gear. So I'm very careful with that stuff. Yeah, be careful. You can oil tuners and things, but be careful with that. I find often the noises you get from tuners is just like a bad set of tuners. I don't... Some people, depending on what the tuner is, you can oil it and you can fix it. But all the experience I've had with Martin tuners, and that's what you're talking about here, has been a defective tuner. I wish I could... I have a video of the problem I had. I don't think I can dig it out for you right now, but... Yeah, I mean, also feel free to send me an email, send me a video with the problem. I can help you more, but I would just ask for a new set of tuners because you bought a brand new guitar, right? So it should be good out of the box. All right, another question. I just need to drink some water. We're on the hour mark now. Oh, okay. Let's just check this. Check this FedEx again. Oh, it went from 4:30 to end of day. Hey, I'm not going to complain about FedEx and UPS. I think they're doing a good job. I do. It's just when they say they've delivered something and they haven't, it's kind of annoying. All right. So, do you use a ground fault extension when gigging outside to prevent electrocution? Yes, I do. I have one of those very expensive power strips, which gives me a lot of outlets and surge protection. It's by, who's the company that makes those? They're famous. Furman. I got a Furman. So I'll use that, especially for a band gig where I'm putting a lot of power through the system. I'll use a Furman. Usually at my regular gigs, I don't. I just have a regular extension cord. I really should, yeah. So that's simply for a weight thing because I'm trying to keep the weight down on my gig bag for solo gigs. If you can ever use a power supply like a Furman with surge protection, then do use one. It's much safer. Especially if you're playing outside, it goes without saying. But anywhere. I've known the musicians in bars years ago when I was like a teenager, that there was a story of one. I'm not saying that wasn't true. There was, I didn't know the person, but I was told that they were electrocuted at a gig and then they couldn't walk. So it is definitely a serious thing. And of course, like a lot of bars and like in England back then in the pubs, like they were old buildings. And yeah, I'm sure you've all played at a venue where you show up and you say, where do I plug in? And they say over there, and you go to it, it's like hanging off the wall, right? So do take that stuff seriously because it's important. Hey, it's fine. Sorry I'm asking so many questions. Since I bought my first expensive guitar, I want to be informed by someone like you. The Martin came with a Fishman Sonotone. I don't like it. What do you suggest? By the way, quick plug here. If you're in the US, if you get any useful information from me and want to help me out, I have affiliate links. This is my sponsored ad. In the chat below and description below, I have affiliate links with Sweetwater, Amazon in USA, Sweetwater Amazon, and Thomann if you're in Europe. And if you click on those links and then buy anything, it helps me out at no cost to you. Also, I have Buy Me a Coffee or Super Chats. At the end of this video, also the link in the description below, I have Buy Me a Coffee. You can buy me a coffee there if you want to, or you can send me a Super Chat. I'd appreciate it. And if you can't send anything or you're not buying anything, please subscribe. Please send this channel to a friend that likes music and ask them to check it out. That will also help me out as well. That's my ad for today. So, I totally agree with you. You want to do the best thing, right? I just want to say, I don't know the answers to all this stuff. All I can offer you is my experience, both good and bad. We're all different. We all have different needs. I mean, I can say to you right now, I'm not a fan. I wouldn't want to go out tonight and play a gig with a Fishman Sonotone. I wouldn't. I just wouldn't. But then that opens up a whole new rabbit hole of what pickups should you put in the guitar. Because I've kind of gone through all that now, and I've got to the stage now where I gig guitars with their own proprietary systems that you may not have heard of. Like last 6 months, I've been using a Cole Clark with a 3-way pickup, 3 pickups in the guitar, and it's phenomenal. But that doesn't really help you because you can't put that in this guitar you've just bought. So bearing that in mind, what would I put in that guitar you just bought? Well, this would take me an hour to answer this question, I'm afraid. But What you can do is you can go to my channel and look through all the videos I have of different pickup systems and see what I said about them in the reviews and demos. And then I would need to, if you really want my help, I would need to know like exactly what are you plugging it into? Are you going to an acoustic amp, a PA? What kind of monitors do you have? Do you wear in-ear monitors? Do you have speaker monitors? Do you have no monitors? Are you playing to a bar? Are you playing to a stadium? Are you playing to a hall? There's a lot of things that go into that. The most commonly used pickups are the Baggs Anthem, and I always recommend that. It's an excellent system. The LR Baggs Anthem is one of my go-tos for an aftermarket pickup. And then a lot of my friends love the K&K. I never loved it, but it's good for what it is. For the price and the non-invasiveness, it's a great system. So the K&K is worth considering because you get a very natural sound, very non-invasive. I think it'd be a great fit for that guitar you have. And then there's the Anthem, which is just a real workhorse, like gigging performers pickup system. It's just out of this world. It's amazing. I'm going to be checking out next week the LR Baggs Lyric, which is just the mic part of the Anthem without the undersaddle. That could be a good one too. But with that, you've got to understand it's not a pickup, it's a mic. And that's great. But when you've got a mic in the guitar, there's more chance of feedback and things like that. So I really like the Cole Clark because it's actually like a body sensor and undersaddle. I like that combination, but not many people make that as a third-party system to go into an existing guitar. So the Aaron Short answer for you is consider the Anthem. And this is what I say to a lot of people often. If you're going to be gigging every night in noisy bars and clubs, get an Anthem. If you're going to play once a month at open mic, get the K&K. And purely for the reason of, if you're playing once a month, you can afford to take like a voice print DI, process that pickup. Doesn't really matter so much. You're playing once a month. And if you're playing like every single night and you want the most sort of best and consistent sound possible, I would do the Anthem. The only downside, if there is one with the Anthem, is that it is more stuff in the guitar. It's a more expensive system. And you know, it may or may not compromise the guitar because there's like a battery in there, there's an undersaddle, there's a microphone, blah, blah, blah. So, I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. I need a holiday is what she said to me. I need to get away from you. And as I watched her lying next to me, I wished for a holiday too. Home is where the heart is. Home is where the heart is. Home is where the heart is. I wanna be there, yeah, yeah. Traveled to so many lands to find a place to end your path. And as you take your next trip, you pray it will be the last. Home is where the heart is. Home is where the heart is. Home is where the heart is. I wanna be there, yeah. In everyone and everything, we all keep searching for something more, when all you need is to know that home is where the heart is. Home is where the heart is. Home is where the heart is. I wanna be there, yeah, yeah. Home is where the heart is. All right, excuse me. So, I was going to grab the cat in the break and bring the cat on. Maybe if I take another break, there might be a cat when I come back. But as they're not meowing anymore, I'm not going to rock the boat. Robert, how you doing? Playing outside in bright sunshine, you can't see LEDs or displays on effects and guitar tuners. Yeah, that can be a problem as well. Some people make actually like screens, like covers that you put on a pedal so you can see the display easier. Rick says GFI extensions for depth. Yeah, it's really, yeah, no, let me just see which one I've got here. Some people will say, well, that's really expensive, blah, blah, blah. But like you say, I mean, what you say is absolutely true. If you play certain venues or outside and you get rain, like every gig that I ever book, I always say, you know, is there cover from rain? I always say that now because I never want to be in a situation where I'm playing outside, all the gear is set up and it rains. What are you going to do? It takes 10 minutes to pack a system away, right? So the one I use is this. And if you've got any recommendations, feel free to put them in the chat. But I have this one. Actually, it's not too bad. It's $40. So that's totally worth it. I think this is the one I have. I might be wrong. Just show it on the screen here. You see, so something like this, very heavy duty, like the cable's heavy duty. So if something gets dropped on it, it won't like cut the cable. And then it's all metal. And then you've got surge protection, RFI, EMI, and you can see when it's protected and when it's not. There's an indicator on there. And Furman are known for those kind of things. There's other ones too, and there's some that are more expensive. And for a band, you might need more than this. So 3 or 4 of these for a band would be ideal. This one also has quite a long cable as well, you see. So yeah, do not scrimp on your power supplies and things, right? Don't take a authentic Martin to a gig with Megami cable and then use a really cheap power supply that's hanging off the wall. Like, try to keep everything high quality. And also, I've heard before as well, you know, make sure that these things are what they say they are. Because sometimes you'll see a power supply where it says it has surge protection, and then you look at the details and actually it doesn't. So be wary of that too. Sometimes things are implied that are not true on things like that. So good point. You know, it's interesting. I never really spoke about things like that on my channel, but they are really important to a gigging musician. And I have been known in the past as well to use the wireless systems. If I think the ground might be a bit wet from the night before and I'm really worried about it, I will use a wireless mic system and guitar system simply so there's no cables on the wet ground and there's nothing making contact that could shock me from those as well. That can be kind of useful too. Oh, Eddie's got a question about the RC600. Oh, well, where do I begin, Eddie? Honestly, you want me to be honest, right? I haven't been using it. So why haven't I been using it? You know, this has been the story now with a lot of gear lately, and I don't want to be negative about, you know, I know it's hard to release gear. I know there's a shortage of components. I know it's expensive to ship things. But when the RC600 was sent to me and was released, a lot of people in the Facebook group and myself said, you know, there's a few features here that are not there. There's a few bugs. Now what happened was Boss then released a firmware update and then another firmware update. It's a lot more stable now, and there are people on the Facebook group that are gigging with it. So it's fine, and I have used it. It does work, but I just think there's a few features that are missing that I want to see there before I review it on the channel. And I've been exactly the same way with a few products lately. The JBL is the same. So I featured the JBL when it was released because I'd had it for a while and was testing it out for them, right? And I happily made a video saying, hey, this is coming out and it's really cool, because it is cool. I've used it. I took it out to outside gigs, funnily enough, and I used it and I was happy with the sound. But I noticed that the app was not yet finished. There was a few kind of glitchy things going on. So I said to them, look, I'm not going to push this on my channel while these bugs are there. I don't want to push stuff that's like not quite ready, just in case, like, what if you never really finish it? So an update for the JBL, the PRX1 and the Eon Compact and the Eon battery powered system, there is an update they've told me coming in 2 weeks time that fixes all of those bugs. And I have no reason to believe that's not true. So I told them once I've got that update, I'll then make a follow-up review. I really don't want to feel I have to, not that I would say something is great if it wasn't, but I don't want to push anything where I feel like that's not quite ready. At the same time, I don't want to like bash it either. I don't make a review and say this sucks, because that would get clicks, wouldn't it? If I said, oh, this pedal sucks, like they didn't do this, they didn't do that. That's not really helpful to the company or anybody. That's just drama. I also don't want to say this is a great product to keep a company happy. I mean, I've got no reason to keep a company happy. Like no one's like paying me a wage or anything. But I just want to be real. I just want to say, here is an item that's coming out that I think is cool. So this week we've got the Rodecaster Pro 2 coming out. I think it looks cool. I'm excited for the product. But I'm not going to tell anyone to buy it because I haven't tried it yet. And I might find that I try it and it's got a problem I don't like. So I would then mention on this live stream or in a video that it's got this thing, but I'm not gonna be too one way or the other, that's what I'm trying to say. I would tell the company this is a problem, I need this fixed, and I'm gonna hold back any potential videos or purchases until that is fixed. I think that's very helpful for the companies and to make things better. So also know that if you see me talk about something on the channel and I say this is good, then it is good. Okay, that's important too. So yeah, 600 worth a try. I'm still preferring the 500 personally. And a student of mine recently purchased the Eros, and initially I was like, oh, the Eros. I was saying the same thing last year, that firmware is not ready. But then they mentioned it to me, so I loaded it up and there was an update, and that's in a really good place now. That's a great looper right now. Still a few things missing, so I'm not telling everyone all the time, like, oh, buy an Eros. But it's so much better than it was a year ago. And it's been working great for her, and the lessons have been really good. So the problem these days with a lot of gear, firmware. The firmware is just, the product is ready to go, they have to ship it, and they ship it, and they think, okay, we'll fix the firmware later. It happens with Apple, it happens with Sony, it happens with Quad Cortex, it now happens with Boss, it happens with everyone. And just bear that in mind when you're buying something. Like, the product might be great, but how is that firmware? Make sure you look up some Facebook groups and thoughts on that first of all. And also be aware that they can fix it any day. Any day you can suddenly get an update where you're like, whoa, this is great now. It's gone from something that I wasn't really interested in to something that's blowing my mind, right? People are talking. Another question. Would you suggest me some songs to play live with friends? She's into blues, jazz, and soul, but not songs with too crazy jazz. So you want to play jazz but without jazz chords? That is a difficult one. Exactly, Amy Winehouse. Amy Winehouse is cool. Some of her songs use really jazzy chords because she played guitar really well. And some of them a bit more kind of standard pop chords, right? I mean, just off the top of my head, songs like Ain't No Sunshine, Bill Withers, Use Me, Bill Withers, Just the Two of Us, Bill Withers, Valerie, Amy Winehouse version. This has got major sevenths in there, minor sevens. You can do standard jazz songs. You can always simplify them. I used to do Girl from Ipanema. That might be a nice one to do. And I did like a slightly more simplified version. Blues. So you could do Layla, Little Wing. I like doing Little Wing because that's kind of straight chords, but you can solo over it. I do Layla. Same thing. Really good one for looping. Soul, I mean, yeah, Dock of the Bay. Ultimately, if you want to play that kind of stuff, I would say find some arrangements with the crazy chords. I think ultimately you want to learn those chords and learn those arrangements. You can start with the simple songs. So you can start with, another one is Killing Me Softly. That gives you the vibe of what you're going for, doesn't it? But I think ultimately you should probably start working on the more advanced arrangements, because if you want to get into that kind of style, then eventually you're going to have to get into that kind of style by playing those chords, right? So start with the songs I mentioned to get a set list together to enable you to go out and start performing. But start now also learning some more. I mean, YouTube's full of arrangements and chords, right? Maybe start putting some time into developing that side as well, so you can grow with it as well and start adding those songs in later. That's what my advice would be. Sergio, long time. How you doing? Lewis, long time. How you doing? You know, I had a bad week this week, Lewis. I went a bit crazy this week. I've got to get back onto things. Last month, I was fit. I was healthy and fit the whole month. I lost about 25 pounds. I was doing walking one week. I was doing a healthy diet one week. I was doing biking one week. This month is my birthday month. I've been a little bit bad, but I'm going to get back on it. Alan, good to see you. Yeah, it depends. New strings, old strings. New strings sound brighter, old strings sound mellower. Another tip if you're recording is to soak your fingers in water before you record so the skin goes soft and you get less string noise. Some people do that. Oh, they like the Streetmaster guitars. 50, oh yes, that's what I thought. Thank you, David. So they're made in Nazareth. Yeah, so that is the best deal, right, of the current lineup. The Streetmaster is the best deal for the money. Oh, you went to look at that. Let me show everyone else that, because I find it quite controversial and no one's really talking about it. And maybe I shouldn't say it's controversial. Maybe that's mean of me to say that, because it is. Martin are using all the wood they can now because they need to make more guitars because they're selling out, and also because there's less resources around. So I don't want to be a jerk and say they shouldn't use this wood, blah blah blah. But it is a fact now that if you buy a standard series, you're gonna potentially have the streaked ebony fretboard, and you know what? You might like that. You might even prefer it. But I think it's really important to buy from someone like Sweetwater, where you get the weight and the pictures and everything, because you can see exactly what this thing will look like when you get it. And to some people, the look of the guitar is important. Again, to some people, it's not. So for example, if you're looking for a Martin right now and you want an HD28, if you click on this one here, this may be an older one. And the reason I say that is because look at the fretboard. Okay? It's all, apart from that line there, it's pretty even, isn't it? Okay, and you can also check out the design of the pick guard and the back of the guitar if it's a concern. So they're using Grover now, which I found have been much better, but I did have a bad set a few months ago that they had to send me a new set. So you might look at this and think, right, that's great, okay? And you also look at the back, look at the grain. I know it's shallow, I know it's all looks, but when you're spending this kind of money, you want to look. And by the way, these are going up $200 July the 1st. So if you're interested, I'm not trying to make you buy a guitar. If you are interested, if you're planning on buying a Martin Standard Series over the next 4 weeks, my advice is to buy one now, because the prices are going up July 1st. So you might then click on this one. And again, you can tell me in the chat what you think of this. I'm not saying that, I'm not saying it either way really, but if you click on this one, look. So they haven't stained this fretboard. It's very much, this is the natural wood. Like my guitar is stained, right? It's not natural. This is natural wood on the ebony fretboard. So you might prefer that. But what I would do is I would look at the pictures and decide, do I like the pattern? I'm very much like that with acoustic guitars. I've said this before, I'll look at the top of the guitar to see if there's any kind of bear clawing. I'll look at the pick guard to see what pattern is on that, because they're all unique. And then now with the Martins, I'll look at the neck and I'll decide if the whole guitar, is that a look that I like? And honestly, when I first saw these, I was like, no, I don't like it. The more I look at it, the more I'm okay with it. I think I'm just I'm not used to seeing this. This one you see is a bit more subtle and it kind of bleeds into the body, which I think is quite nice. But for me, this is just why it's important now to get the pictures of the guitars, because I want to see exactly what the guitar is going to look like. Now this one is a bit kind of polarizing maybe. So again, you tell me in the chat. I wouldn't buy this today. Maybe I'll change my mind in a few months, but would you buy this one? How do you feel about that? I don't know. I understand why they're doing it. I understand it's good for the environment. I understand all these. I understand that some people would actually prefer the look of this. But I just think personally it's really important to either go to a store in person or have a website where you get the weight and the photographs and everything, so you can see exactly what that guitar will look like when it arrives, especially as the prices are going up next month to $3,400. So I want to see exactly what I'm getting for the money. That's how I feel about it. You don't have to agree with me. I agree. Well, that's how I feel about relic guitars and aged guitars. Oh, thank you, David. Right, the 0016 has an Adirondack top. I bet they're cool. Oh, you bought the guitar used. Okay. Okay. Yeah, because they don't ship with the sonotone, right? Unfortunately, the recent owner installed a Fishman sonotone, which I don't like at all. But for now, to plug in live and pubs, it'd be fine. Yeah, it's fine. They're fine. You can buy a Fishman or a pedal. They're good. The sonotone is my least favorite. I prefer the Matrix. Sounds a bit better than the sonotone. But yeah, I mean, it works. It works for now. I wouldn't rush out to change it. And the good news is, if you do want to change it to something else, you can reuse the hole that was drilled for the undersaddle pickup and the battery bag Velcro. That can be reused again. Okay. Ah, they got the new 0016. Yeah, I haven't seen those yet in person. There's so few guitars around right now for sale. Okay, so this is the new one, and this is 2000, so it is a bit of a step up. That's an Adirondack top. So I guess what they're doing is the Addy they wouldn't use for the standard series or the customs, they're using on these. So it's a good way to reuse the wood, right? And I think the neck is also not stained, but it's just on this particular guitar, it's not as obvious as some of the other ones. Yeah, I like it. And people were saying, you know, for $2,000 to get an Addy topped Martin like that, it's a good deal. But I guess that's how they're doing it. They're using stuff they wouldn't use in other guitars. I think this one has a pickup as well. What does it have? Comes in a soft case. I don't mind soft cases because a lot of the soft cases now are very good quality and they're great for gigging. But in the winter, my advice to you is to get the hard shell case because it will trap in humidity better. Oh no, excuse me. There is an electric version. That's what it is. There's two versions of this model. Is it on here? No. Martin 0016E, that's the one. Is that even more money then? I guess it is. Bear in mind, when you get a pickup on a guitar, it often adds to the price. I don't see it on here though. I only see that one. So, no problem. But yeah, looks interesting. I'd have to play one to know if that would interest me or not. Mostly do finger picking on quite like kind of strumming action with which the guitar is perfect. Okay, great. So you haven't got to change the action, low and comfortable play, no buzzing. Okay, perfect. Yeah, stay out of rabbit holes. That's the bad place to be. String joy strings I haven't really tried, so I don't have much thought about those yet. Martin strings with silk, yeah, silk and steel helps cut down the wear. But yeah, they say that, but then again, I've never had like a bridge wear out on a guitar, so I don't know. I think they're good for certain models, depending on the bridge as well. The Q, Ray, is if you want to ask a question, put a Q with the question, then I won't miss it because I can search on my screen here by Q. Okay. And also, if I got in trouble the other week because I always ask people put a Q and then a question so I can see what the questions are. Because if people are just talking to each other, then I don't need to address that. So if you put a Q, I know it's a question. And then the other week I just went through everything and spent like hours going through it all. And then someone said, you didn't do the cue this week. So now I'm trying to be stricter with myself about it. My Authentic is one of the best acoustics I've ever heard. I agree. I mean, there's so many things about it why it should be one of the best sounding guitars you've ever heard. It's got 13 gauge strings. It's got a non-adjustable truss rod. It's got a glued-in saddle. It's got Addy top with VTS. I mean, if this thing doesn't sound incredible, there's a problem, right? But I agree with you. Oh, you see my camera's like focusing like crazy. Why is that? I don't know what this is all in reference to anymore. Yes, I do, Lewis, but not if it's going to make you in financial trouble. I didn't go to NAMM, no. You can maintain investment with some guitars. You can, but they're also wooden objects that could break. So that always been a concern to me as well. You got to be very careful with them. No, I didn't go to NAMM. I regretted it last week. I wish I'd been there. I didn't go because I didn't want to spend the money to travel there. It would have cost me a few thousand to travel and stay. And I knew in June I'd have gigs come in. So I would have spent money to go there and lost money on not working. So that's why I didn't go. But I did follow very closely on people's channels and check out new products. And last week we discussed the new products, if you missed it. T, how you doing? Good to see you. Yeah, Yamaha are great. I agree. They just don't excite me, but they're incredible instruments for the money. They're the best, if nothing else. Okay, Jim, anyone here in the chat have an Eastman OM-GBC Dread? Comment, please. I haven't played an Eastman. Does anyone here own an Eastman? Professional setup is everything, Staley. It's everything. The setup of the guitar can make the guitar sound better, feel better, play better. It can change everything. Yeah, Lee had a problem with his CO9 tuners. I think they sent him new ones, right? Yeah, in the past I've contacted the manufacturer. Oh, David, thank you so much. I appreciate it. When I used to get the grand tunes that were all stiff, they would just personally send me from Germany, like I think it was a new set of tuners in the mail. With the latest tuners on the Martins, they didn't want to do that. I had to take them off and send them. They'd send me a note. I was like, no, I'm not doing that. So I contacted Martin and got them there. Now, to be fair, again, it was during lockdown. Maybe they haven't got any inventory. I get that too. But let's face it, it's frustrating to get something that's brand new and has an issue out of the box, right? We all know that. Do I prefer a gig bag or a hard case? The hard case lately is soring my fingers. Okay, so always a gig bag, but what you want is a high quality gig bag that will be like very cushioned and will protect your instrument. You know, obviously it won't protect like a hard shell case, so you have to be a bit careful with it, but then it's easy to carry it around. But when you get home, if you live in a very dry or wet climate, then transfer it to the hard shell case with a humidifier, especially in the winter. So that's what I do in the winter. I use the gig bag all the time. When I get home, I'll put it into the hard shell case with humidifier. In the summer, I'll leave it in the gig bag usually because the weather is more humid. A lot of that depends on where you live in the climate. I've got very sweaty hands. How do you suggest me to clean inroads with fingerboard? Lemon oil? I wouldn't do it every time you change strings. I would do it on occasion. Sweaty hands, I can sweat too, especially in here with the lights on. I get very hot when I play the Rain song. I often see, when I'm teaching an online lesson, I often see that it's got sweat all over it. I wouldn't worry about it too much. I personally wait for it to kind of look dirty, and then this might be the wrong thing, but sometimes I'll just get like a piece of kitchen towel, make it very slightly damp, and just wipe over a little bit. And then every few months, or usually when I take my guitar for a setup, they'll use lemon oil. I don't use it all the time. Okay, if the fretboard is really dirty, you can also use steel wool, but I've never had to do things like that. For me, I just pretty much stay away from it, and I'll just use, like I said, a very, very slightly damp piece of kitchen towel, very slightly damp, just to wipe off any surface dirt, and then I'll wipe it. And to follow up what I was saying before, what you'll find is on most Martin guitars, it will be black, and that is not dirt. That is the staining they use to make those ebony fretboards one solid color, which is kind of weird. So maybe that's a reason why not dyeing it is a good thing. Because I bet people were calling them all the time, hey, I just wiped my fretboard and it's all black came off. It's kind of, when you first see that, it's kind of a weird thing. Oh, cool. Ray did order the 28 with Rosewood. Oh, yeah, great. Let me know how it is. You know, I buying online, if you have an excellent return policy, is fine. Some guitar stores don't have excellent return policies, and I would be very wary of buying a guitar that way, because you can get stuck with a guitar or a piece of gear when they have a very strict return policy, or you might have to pay a restocking fee. So always, when you make a purchase like an Authentic for $7,000, always try to buy it in person, or at least go there and play it if you can. That's a major investment. All right, and I've played a couple that I didn't care for, but that could have been the setup or the room or something as well. Surge protection does prevent, do you mean it doesn't prevent electrocution? I mean, I refuse to play in the rain altogether. The minute it starts raining and they haven't given me cover outside, I'm just going to stop and turn everything off and pack it away, because no gig is worth that. But to be fair, to be professional, you have to make that clear. So the first thing I say now when I talk to a client is, will there be cover from any potential rain, cover from direct sunlight? Because like we said earlier, that can mean you can't read the screen of a pedal. It can mean you get burnt, sunburn, or it can overheat your gear or damage your guitar. So these things are important conversations to have. Is there a backup plan? It's not the most positive thing to say to a client when you're booking a gig, but you have to deal with that. And I think it makes you sound more professional in the long run. What do I play at ceremonies? Do the host choose the music? It depends. Sometimes they'll say play what you want because they trust your experience. Sometimes they'll give you a list of songs. I usually say, here's my song list. Please choose from that, and then give me a couple of your favorite songs. Because if you don't do that, they might give you 20 songs to learn for one gig, and that's kind of a lot to do for one gig. I personally try to avoid that by saying, here's all the songs I play. Please tell me which ones of these you'd like or not like, and please give me a few of your favorite suggestions, and if you've given me enough time, I will learn them. Some people charge an extra fee for that, but I always say, look, if you give me enough time, I'll do it. The next Noel Gallagher is going to be the red Gibson Electric, and it's going to be, the rumor is it's going to be 10,000. It's a lot of money. I know, I did that on purpose because I had a phone call. Martin will replace the CO9 tuners as some were not 100%. Trust me, I've played a lot of Martin guitars with bad tuners. A lot. But they've always been replaced by either the manufacturer or Martin. I think the best tip I can give you when you've got a problem with a piece of gear, something like that, get your cell phone, because we all have, we don't all have, but a lot of us have a cell phone now with either a very good camera or an excellent camera, and just hold it there, turn all the lights on, open the curtains up, get lots of light in the room, get an angle where you can clearly see the issue, and film it and just say, look, this is the issue. When I turn this tuner, it's getting stiff and making a grating noise. Listen. And then clip that down so it's not a big file, send it in an email or Dropbox. And it's just, like, this is the problem. This is clearly a problem. And I think that is the way to do it. If you don't do it that way, some people may rightly think that someone's trying it on, trying to get a free set of tuners, or they're doing something wrong or something like that. I think the camera is the way to bypass a lot of time and just show the issue. don't post it on YouTube, stuff like that. Not unless someone just says I'm not going to fix your problem, get lost. Just give them the issue clearly so they can see the exact issue, and then they have a chance to make it right. Oh, I mean, you must be. If you buy a new guitar in the UK, you have to be covered by. They have to make it right, surely. How do I manage to learn a lot of songs for gigging night, especially if there are complex chords and patches? Well, I just started 30 years ago, so I've just learned songs over the years. When you're starting from scratch, you just got to get to work. As Tommy Emmanuel says, you just got to get to work. It takes time. I agree, Jim. That's very sad. She was incredibly talented. Charlie, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Lee, I've watched all your songs, Lee, and I gave you a comment on every single one. I agree, Staley. The weight is very important to me these days. I never knew it was, but now I can see the weight, especially with an electric guitar. It's really important with electric guitars. I want a guitar to be in the lower end of 7 pounds. If a guitar is over 8 pounds, I kind of think twice. Awesome. Yeah, there's definitely more. I think there's more gigs in the summer than the winter, right? You would buy the Street. Yeah, I'm coming around to it. I'm not completely against it. When I first saw it, I was honestly like, whoa, that's not a Martin. And now I'm like, yeah, I get it. And sometimes it looks good. And my Acoustic has it, and I quite like it on there. But that's a very modern guitar, isn't it? So some of this is just, I get very kind of caught up in tradition with guitars. Most comments I've seen about the Street Ebony, most people don't care. I'm not seeing anyone say, oh, I wouldn't buy that. So that's fine. But then Pasquale says I wouldn't buy this one. So it's all opinions, right? That's why the pictures are important. Lee says the tone. I do agree. For me, the tone is the most important thing. But when I'm spending that kind of money, I want to see what I'm buying as well. Hey, you got a new friend here. Oh, by the way, if you're watching out there and you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and ring the bell. It helps me out. I'm trying to get up to 12,000 subs. But I can't answer your question, my friend. You have to put a Q and then type the question, okay? Oh, you did? Okay. Thank you. You see, that's why the community is great here, because they helped you out. So otherwise, you'd be right down the bottom of the list. So, good to meet you. How you doing? Are you new to the channel? It's awesome. Ah, very cool. I'm just checking. I've got an appointment next week to have another pickup, that lyric pickup installed, actually. So that should be a good video. I haven't reviewed the lyric yet on my pickup videos, so that would be cool. Okay, so Brazil, very nice. Help me between LR Bag's Lyric or a Piezo and Spectrum DI. What's the best sound? The Aura Spectrum is very good if you get the right image with the right pickup. It's an older technology and it's a pedal to carry around. The Bag's Lyric I'm going to be reviewing next week on the channel, so watch out for that video. I'm going to have one installed next week in the guitar. It's great, but it can feed back. I would suggest, based on my thoughts right now, I would go in the middle of those two systems and get the Bag's Anthem. Because the Bag's Anthem is the Lyric mic with an undersaddle like the Fishman you're mentioning, and doesn't really need a pedal like the Spectrum DI because it sounds good. Just a little bit of EQ, it sounds excellent. So my gut feeling with you is to get the Bag's Anthem. Or wait until next week or the week after when I review the Lyric, because maybe I'll say, hey, this is a great system. But I just think it's not going to be as stable as like the Anthem. If you're gigging all the time in restaurants and clubs, the Anthem is going to be your best bet. Yeah. But I'm glad you brought that up because I will have a Lyric review soon on the channel. I'm excited to show that to everybody. Yeah, they look interesting. Those 0016s with the Addy top and the VTS, they look interesting. Thomas Moore says, get it used. I'll always agree with that. If you can find the guitar you want used, especially on some of these forums and websites, you can find someone that basically bought a guitar and 3 months later sold it and it's mint condition and you get it for $500 cheaper, especially with the price increases coming. Yeah, everyone's singing Kate Bush right now, but should I do that as well? Eastman PC-HD1, great guitar for the money. Sounds way above its pay grade. Hey, there's lots of guitars like that, but I haven't played the Eastman. Thank you for the info, you're welcome. I mean, I just feel like I've spent many years and time and money on this stuff. I may as well put it into a channel and share it with people, because selfishly, the first reason is because it's a great hobby. I love going live. I love hanging out with you all and just talking socially. And having the channel, because I some of this is a selfish reason. Sometimes I do these comparisons for myself. You know why? Because in the past I might have had, let's take the Authentic and the HD that I just compared yesterday. In the past I might have had those two guitars and sold one, and then a year later thought, you know what? I want to buy another HD28. That was a great guitar. What I can do now is I can go back and watch the comparison again and think to myself, well, actually, I much prefer the Authentic, but I'm not interested in getting it. So some of that is for that reason. And for that reason, I wish I started before. It's a good reason to do it. But it's also a great way to then pass that on to you. Like I said, the disclaimer is that just because I don't like something or something doesn't work for me, it doesn't mean you'll feel the same way, but at least it gives you something to think about, right? Who makes the Martin brand tuners? Okay, so what happened was I've basically seen the same thing happen twice. So what I've seen happen is the Reimagined series, when it came out, were using grand tunes, shallow grand tunes, and everyone said, oh, that's good, they're great tuners. And they were initially, they were great, they looked great, they worked great. I then felt like several guitars I played later on had issues. They had issues. And then they would send me some more sets and I would get a good set and I'd be fine. There'd be no more problems. But I found that they ran into issues after a certain amount of time, and I was getting a bit frustrated with finding that. And then I went to a NAMM show shortly after that, and I realized then, I'm just going to bring you on the screen, I then realized they switched. I remember I actually shouted for joy at NAMM. I said, yes, they've switched to Grover, because they still look the same, they still look great, and they were all perfectly smooth. But just so you know, then a year later, I had some issues with the Grovers. I just think the problem is when you supply a company like Martin with tuners, it's impossible to keep the quality, because they must be like all the time like, we need more tuners. I mean, again, this is just my guess. My guess is they're going to say, we need more tuners, need more tuners, need more. And they just have to eventually crank them out, and you might get a bad set. That's just my guess. I don't know that for a fact. But what I will say is when I've had either the shallow grand tunes or the Grovers, and they've been a good set of tuners, they've never let me down. You've just got to make sure when you buy your guitar that they're all working as you would expect. And by the way, I just noticed on this HD28 here, look at this one. This is interesting, because not only does this one have, what have I done here? Yeah, I'm on the wrong screen, hang on. Well, how did that work? I thought I just clicked, oh no, I did it. Okay, not only does this one here have the stripe on the finger, look, that huge stripe there, which you may or may not like. That is a stripe and a half, right? In fact, that's not even a stripe and a half, it's just a huge stripe. But this one also has it on the bridge. I quite like that, actually. It looks like milk chocolate. Now I'm getting hungry. So yeah, I don't know. What do I know, hey? What do I know? I will say this, the Authentics have the plain ebony fingerboards, because I guess the Authentics always did, right? So that's the answer to that, Staley. 2018, look on the back. It'll either say Grand Tune or Waverley. I think they might be Grand Tunes. Depends when you bought it exactly. Oh, they have Martin engraved in them. So Martin also get tuners from other vendors. They could be, I'm not sure who makes them. They could be made by Waverley or Grand or Schaller. I'm not sure exactly who makes them, and they might use different vendors depending. Could be Grover, could be Wavy, could be Schaller. Don't know. Who's my favorite vocalist? That's a good question. Maybe James Taylor? No. Maybe James Taylor. Maybe Frank Sinatra? Maybe Elvis? That's too hard. I can't just choose one. Yeah, thank you, John. I like just lots of different singers and guitarists. Might be a dumb question, but coming from a Takamine, I changed the batteries on the body. Now with the Fishman Sonotone, how does that work inside the whole of Martin? So there's probably a battery bag inside the guitar, and you have to take the strings off or loosen them and put your hand in and pull the bag out and change the battery in the bag. That sounds horrendous, but it's actually fine because that battery in the Sonotone should last you 6 months to a year. So basically, every time you change the strings, sort of, every 3 months or 6 months or whatever, depending how often you play the guitar, you'll just change it. Don't leave the guitar plugged in, because that will always drain the battery. If you play a gig every night, obviously I would then change it every 3 months. Sometimes there's some kind of battery indicator depending on the pickup. But yeah, usually I would just change the battery every few string changes or 3 months. I would figure out from the company what the rated battery life is. I would use a lithium battery because they last twice as long as regular 9-volt batteries, and I would just change it every few months depending on the system. Later, Rick. Good to see you, buddy. Yeah, it's good. It's good to... I love the way we can document stuff and then watch it back. It's as useful for me as it is for people that want to get like tips and tricks on what they're buying, David said Goto used to make the Martin brand shoes. It's really impossible to know. You could ask Martin. They might not even know themselves. The most important thing for me is that they work reliably and smoothly. And whenever you buy a new guitar, check the tuners. Like, turn them. Are they smooth? Are they grating? If I remember one week, I'll show you the video I have of the tuners I had that were bad, because they were really crunching, and they were scratchy, and they were hard to turn. It's horrible. With my Cole Clark, you can actually adjust the tuner, because my low E and my Cole Clark is kind of hard to turn, so you can loosen that and oil that, because that's a closed tuner. But with those vintage tuners, you want to just make sure out the box that they work perfectly. Very good. So this week should be fun. They're supposed to release that Rodecaster Pro 2 on Wednesday, but a lot of the stores are telling me they won't ship until next week. So I don't know. I really want to switch to that and use it on my live streams, and maybe you'll be interested in that if you do live streaming and YouTube videos as well. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'll have that this week or not. Next week, hopefully I'll get that Lyric installed. That'll be cool. We can check out a new pickup system together. And hopefully I'll have the Rodecaster Pro 2 next week at some point. Next week is also my birthday, so don't forget to send me some cakes and guitars and guitars that look like cakes. I'll just do these last couple of questions and I'll call it a day, I think. Okay, so I use, Paul, this is cool. I use the Lyric with in-ear monitors, and it sounds great. What do you think? A couple of things about Lyric. So just in case you don't know what the Lyric is, a lot of people know what the Anthem is, but don't know what the Bag's Lyric is. So the Lyric is just the mic part of the Anthem without the undersaddle. And it's interesting because some people will say, well, the undersaddle of an Anthem affects the tone of the guitar. I actually read the other day that the Lyric can, and I don't know, I'll have to decide this for myself. But the Lyric is interesting because you don't have that undersaddle, so the saddle remains its full contact. You just have this in the end pins. You drill out the end pin and put this in there. That's your kind of preamp, basically, where you plug in the guitar. And then you've got this little tiny control, which is just volume and presence of the mic, which is Honestly, I kind of wish you could take it off because I'll never use it. I just do all my volume from my pedals. I wish you could detach this. I don't think you can. I guess you could Velcro it deep inside the guitar, or, maybe it's good to have it there. Maybe you want to do some volume adjustments. So, okay, I never want to use it, but maybe if you can't take it off, I'll put it in the sound hole, whatever. And then you've got the battery, which we're going to battery bag inside the guitar. And this is the mic here. So I can't believe this will affect the sound of the guitar unplugged. I mean, there's nothing on the saddle. The mic is just that little circular piece here that sticks to the top of the guitar. And this is just a very small thing that goes on the sound hole. I can't believe it will affect the guitar. Oh no, actually, sorry, the mic is like this. So these 2 3M pieces here. I mean, maybe they say everything affects the sound of the guitar, but certainly this should affect things less than an Anthem, right? Because you have a bigger control module on the full Anthem and you have the undersaddle pickup. But basically this is just a microphone. So this isn't really a pickup, this is a microphone. And then I've heard some videos where it sounds a little bit boxy, but you can use this with an EQ or something like the VoicePrint DI to make it sound bigger. Of course, it may feed back because it's a microphone. You can use a feedback buster, or for using it like at home on a live stream would be awesome, I'm sure. So Paul said he uses the Lyric with in-ear monitors like these, and it sounds great live. What do you think? Well, I completely agree. So as you know, if you watch the channel, lately I've been using in-ear monitors at my restaurant gig, and so this could be awesome at that gig because there's no monitor to feed back. So I could potentially boost the bass and tailor the EQ and get a really realistic sound with a real analog microphone in the guitar. That could sound phenomenal. I got my fingers crossed for this one. Now, in a big band situation with monitors in front of me on the floor monitors, maybe not. That could be asking for trouble unless you block the sound hole. But yeah, for a solo gig with in-ear monitors, this could be a really cool amplification system. I'm really excited to try this one. So stay tuned for that. I'll give you an honest review. Yes, full transparency, they're sending me the pickup, and I told them I'll make a review of it, but I'll be honest. So I'll tell you, I'll use it at a few gigs, and if it squeals, I'll let you know. But I've got high hopes for this, especially, like I said, if you do live streaming or if you use in-ears all the time, this could be the best pickup ever. So I'm excited for that. So Paul, I think you're doing the right thing. I think that's excellent, an excellent solution. On a Quipboard, there's a kind of ranking which classifies acoustic based on quality price. No, I haven't. And I wonder if I'd agree with it because it's all so subjective anyway. Thank you, Staley. Compared to the K&K, well, I don't love the K&K. It's just, that's I haven't got time to go into that, but I like the idea of having an actual mic in the guitar. You just got to be wary of feedback when you do that. David said, doesn't that attach to the underside of the bridge plate? Yes, it does. Yeah, it does. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't attach to the top of the guitar. It goes to the underside of the bridge plates, the little control on the sound hole, the battery bag. I can't see it affecting acoustic tone. And again, I don't know if the Anthem does affect acoustic tone really. But it's nice to think you won't have to modify the saddle like you do with the Anthem. Because I think a lot of problems with the Anthem is that people will take out the saddle and sand it down so it's the same height with the pickup underneath it, and they might not do it the same height, and then the whole guitar sounds different. With this, you're not going to touch the saddle. You're just going to stick the mic in there, stick the other things inside, and go. So that's cool. That's really cool. John says, thank you for your time and insight. Honestly, you're welcome. And how many songs do you think you were right about for gigging in a pub? How about pay? Being non-professional, it's rude to make a price myself. We'll save this for next time. I mean, some pubs want you to play for 2 hours. Some pubs want you to play for 4 hours. Some pubs will pay you nothing, but you might want to do it to get started, or you might get tips that are amazing. Some pubs might not have tips, might pay you $300, depending where you live. That's a very loaded question. I don't want to commit an answer to that. And it's also down to the person, I feel. It's down to your experience as a musician. I don't know how to answer this without sounding, I don't want to sound arrogant, but if you've been playing for 30 years and it's your profession, you may not be charging what someone is brand new to the thing. I don't know. Well, then maybe not. But like I said, that really depends on where you live, the actual venue itself, how long you're playing for, how you travel there, how much it costs you to travel. Do they have equipment at the venue? Have you got to take your own equipment? Do you just show up with a guitar, or do you have to take $3,000 worth of PA to make that gig happen? Lots and lots of factors go into that. And then it's also, at the end of the day, it's down to the person. Because we could take a venue that's down the road from me right now, and I could walk in there and I could end up getting, say, $200, and then someone else could walk in and get a gig the next week and get $400 because they present themselves a certain way, or they just ask for more money. So that's a big question. Thank you, David. I'm going to wrap things up. We've gone for over 2 hours. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you for your kind comments. I'm glad you think that, not that you think, I'm glad you say you like my honest opinions. Lately I've been trying to be even more not honest, but more real in that relating things to actually playing music and actually using this stuff in person, because that's what I do, right? A lot of YouTube channels do demos and show stuff, but I want to talk about using the stuff actually in practice and as a working musician's point of view, even more so than I have before. So if you're new here, please subscribe and ring the bell. Lots of stuff coming up. As soon as I have time to do it, I'll be posting videos. I've got loads of stuff in the pipeline to get done. Thank you for moderating, Rosanna. Really appreciate it. As always, hope you're well. Hope to see you soon. Also, if you've got anything useful out of this, remember I've got affiliate links in the chat, in the description below. Just click on one of those before you order something. If you've got a lot of information today that helped you, you can buy me a coffee. That's coming up on the next screen, how to buy me a coffee. And you can also send a super thanks or a super chat. Super chat while I'm live, super thanks in the comments of any video. So thank you, everyone. It's been great. And I look forward to showing you some new stuff over the next couple of weeks that's coming in. So everyone take care, be well, enjoy your gear, enjoy your playing, and think of some more questions for me for next week, and I'll see you next Monday. I'll see you soon. Subscribe, ring the bell, follow the channel to all the latest updates and posts, especially the community tab. If I ever can't make a Monday, I'll put in the community section that info as well. But I'm usually here Mondays, 4 p.m. EST, and at least one video throughout the week. So, Bimo, good to see you, buddy. Thank you for sharing the channel, Stadia. I appreciate that too. And thank you, Robert. Thank you, everyone. It's been great fun today. I'll see you soon. Have a great night. Take care and be well. Aaron out. Bye-bye. See you later.
At midnight, wear your high heels, your red dress, and your smile. You look just like this other girl I knew. She was beautiful, and if you want to, maybe we can stay a little longer, stay a little longer. Yeah, we'll dance all night. Yeah, we'll dance all night. Like our hearts have never been broken, never been broken. Still lost and alone. They got no place to go. We can start another kind of love, one without consequence. And if you want to, maybe we can last a little. All night. Make it feel like the first time. Make it feel like the first time. Yeah, dance all night. Yeah, dance all night. Yeah, dance all night like our hearts have never